Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here to talk about videos that I canceled. This idea came from a video that my friend Kayla from Books and Lala did, I think like 2 years ago now. As someone who has been posting daily content in October, I've had so many video ideas. So I figured since we're about halfway through the month, it would be fun to sit down and talk to you about videos that got scrapped, things that didn't go as planned, things that I stopped doing for whatever reason they fell through. And at the end, you can let me know if you would be interested in seeing me try to do any of them again. So the first one I want to talk about is a vlog where I was going to read books about my phobias. For example, I have like automatonophobia, I have bathophobia, I have catoptrophobia, and I was going to find books about each of these things and then read them as like exposure therapy kind of thing. I thought it would have been interesting to see me trying to like face my fears in a literary sense, because I talked in a video earlier this month about how I use horror and films to kind of get rid of stress and kind of like let myself lose control. And I thought it would have been interesting to see like an exposure therapy type vlog where I read about things that like give me nightmares, that make me feel sick to my stomach, that make me want to like crawl out of my skin. Even if it doesn't make sense to other people, like why am I scared of mirrors? I don't know, I just thought it would have been a really interesting video to do, and I'm kind of sad that I got about halfway through the vlog and I ended up scrapping it, because that was about the time that I was having like I need to quit filming for content breakdown, where I was like I'm only reading books for videos, so I just like stopped all of the vlogs that I was filming. I scrapped all of them. So that's what happened with that one. Then I was going to do a video where I read other horror booktubers' favorite books. I actually did read a couple. Those were two faves of two of my friends, Jordaline from Jordaline Reads and Nakia from Nakia's Hideaway. So hi, I was going to do a video that featured y'all, but a lot of people who would talk about their favorite horror books, a lot of them weren't accessible to me. A lot of them were like vintage horror that were expensive and out of print that I either couldn't find or I couldn't afford to get. A lot of the times they were already books that I had read, or they were things that I know that I was not in a proper mental place to read based on the content in the book. So things with like heavy rape and sexual assault and stuff like that. What I was going to do was reading books about horror films. So not necessarily horror books, but Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, her memoir came out this year, and in honor of that I was going to read books about people in the horror industry. I was going to read books with characters who loved horror films, so like Rain and Delilah's Midnight Matinee, where the characters are like late time horror hosts. So the book is not horror, it's YA contemporary, but the characters themselves are like these late night horror matinee hosts in like an Elvira sense. And there were a lot that I was going to do. I was going to try and read Harrow Lake, I was going to try and read Scream All Night, I was going to read some nonfiction, I was going to read horror noir, I was going to read more of the My Favorite Horror Film books. There were a lot that I was going to do, and it was, the date just like snuck up on me too quick, and I hadn't obtained the books quickly enough to read them for the video. The next one was a Dead by Daylight themed reading vlog. I had picked like my 5 favorite Dead by Daylight killers and was going to read books. Kind of reminded me of them, so I was going to do like the Trickster, the Twins, Hag, the Clown, and the Spirit, which are I think actually pretty unpopular killers. And it could have been so much fun, and I want this to be what Read by Daylight is going forward. We'll talk about that in another video later in the month, but the idea was there, and I was planning it for y'all Read by Daylight people. Next I was going to do a video where I read in the dark for a week. I was going to read like Under the Blankets with a Flashlight, I was going to read by candlelight, I was going to read by like The Light of the Moon. And the problem with this one is I already have very bad eyesight. My eyes are so bad that I need bifocals. And it took Will being an adult and being like, Bear, you can't do that, you're gonna fuck up your eyes even more, for me to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. But like I had it all planned out. I had like books I was gonna read under the covers. I had like a bunch of like spooky middle grade books I was gonna do. It was gonna be so fun, and I was like, I need to be responsible and not injure myself more, because like who am I to give myself more medical problems in this economy? Then I had another idea, and I didn't even start this one, because finding best of lists is something that's kind of weird to me. But I, for a while, have wanted to do a video where I read like the best horror books, like the top 10 best horror books by this magazine or this article or whatever. I wanted to find a list and read it to completion. It's really interesting to talk about like what makes a book the best and how can you come up with like the best horror novels of all time whenever you clearly have not read every horror novel of all time. I wanted to see what was on the list and like compare my thoughts to it, and I found a lot that I already disagree with. It was a matter of A, finding a list by someone who I felt was like a reputable source. It was an issue of actually tracking down all of the books because a lot of times they would have out of print books that were very difficult to find. And then honestly, like I'm sick of seeing every best of horror list have the same 50 books on it, because like you can't tell me that Stephen King deserves 25 out of 50 best of spots. Then I had two ideas that kind of went hand in hand. I was going to read books by iconic like 80s 90s horror authors, so like R.L. Stine, Christopher Pike, Lois Duncan, Carolyn B. Cooney. I was going to read one book each from them and then see like who actually like reigns supreme. I was going to do it bracket style and be like R.L. Stine versus Pike and Cooney versus Duncan, and then the winner of those would go head to head, and I thought it would have been a really interesting idea. The problem was I ran out of time to film this. I fully intended to do this for this month, and I just ran out of time. I have other things on my TBR that I need to prioritize. I have very bad time management. And then another one that kind of goes hand in hand with that was for R.L. Stine's birthday that was earlier this month. I was going to do a video where I read R.L. Stine's favorite books. I was going to read like his favorite Fear Street novels. I was going to read his favorite Goosebumps books. I thought it would have been a really nice like honoring of him. Like I said, I just had other things and I just ran out of time because October kind of snuck up on me. Moving off of that, I was also going to do a video where I read celebrities' favorite books. So I was going to take like iconic horror directors and scream queens and like horror bloggers and podcasters and stuff. I was going to see if I could find like a list of their favorite books and then read them. Funnily enough though, a lot of people in the horror industry don't seem to read that much horror. And it was easy to find people talking about their favorite horror movies because they're in the horror film industry, but it was a lot harder to find people talking about their favorite horror novels. I was getting frustrated with trying to find actual like material to read. Like I couldn't find a list of someone's like, these are my top 10 favorite horror novels. I couldn't. Then I was going to do a video where I read cheerleader books. I wanted to do vlogs for each of my favorite tropes, like deep dive discussion videos. I was going to read the Cheerleaders trilogy by R.L. Stine for the Fear Street books. I was going to read I read Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers for that. I was going to read The Good Girls. I was going to read We Can Only Save Ourselves. And the problem with that one was I did vlogs for all of these and I just got so burnt out like vlogging everything that I was reading and I just stopped. I still am interested in doing discussion videos for all of my favorite tropes. I don't know if I'm interested in doing like deep dive vlogs for everything. I don't know how interesting that would be to anyone except myself. Finally, I think is the most interesting concept of this list. I was going to read books that people disrecommended to me. People who I trust, who know my reading taste, who know what I like and how I like it and things I love. Books that they told me like, you would hate this. Because I want to see if people who know what I like also know what I don't like. So I did have a couple of books for this one and I ended up saying like, that would be kind of weird to read books that like my friends specifically told me I would hate. Still interested in doing it, but like I felt weird about it at the time of filming it. So that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by liking, subscribing, sharing, hitting the bell, all of that good stuff, as well as answering the comment question of the day, which is gonna be, if you're a booktuber, let me know videos that you have scrapped, videos you've canceled. If you're not a booktuber, if that doesn't apply to you, let me know out of all of the videos I mentioned today, which one you think would be the most interesting. And if you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, you don't want to answer, let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart or a smiley face emoticon. All my social media links as well as everything I mentioned today will be downstairs, so make sure you go check that out. And yeah, it's really hard saying all of that in one breath. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for sticking around with me for the first half of the month. I hope you'll stick around for the back half of the month. And I will see you next time with another video. Okay, cool. Bye!